Hi there, so welcome to my hoop class. So I'm going to show you about a 30-minute hoop session. So we're going to start with the absolute basics. So if you are a beginner, I'm going to take you through start to finish. So warming up, mobilising the joints, knowing how to use your hoop, thinking about your posture, etc. So what we're going to do to start with is we're just going to warm up. So we're going to place our hoop on the floor, we're going to step inside our hoop. So I want you to start with your feet about a hip distance apart, knees are soft, shoulders back and down, and we're just going to start by rolling those shoulders back. So just loosening up, we're making sure that we're keeping that body really relaxed as we hoop to make it easier. So a couple more shoulder rolls, let your shoulders relax, and then I want you to lift your shoulders up towards your ears, let go, and again lift and let go. And then I want you to gently lower your chin towards your chest, and just draw a little circle. So the tip of your nose is drawing a circle in front of you, maybe 2 or 3 one way and 2 or 3 going in the opposite direction. Come back to the centre. I want you to take the hands across the chest. Now we're going to make sure we're mobilising into that thoracic spine. So we're going to turn head and chest to the right, come back and to the left. So I want you to just concentrate that you're trying to keep your hips still at this point. So we are just focusing on mobilising through that upper part of our back. So getting movement there. And then maybe do about 3, 4 to each side. Come back, down with those arms. Now this time you're letting those hips move. So again, our knees are soft. We're just going to let those arms swing round the body. So I want you to keep those arms heavy, really relax those shoulders. Keep those legs soft, bending those legs a little bit more and letting those hips move. So working all the way through our back, and we're going to do one more to each side. We're going to bring it back to the centre. So from here, pedal the feet so that you're just lifting those heels up and down, getting some ankle mobility. So we are going to be moving those feet around in this session. Taking those feet down to the floor, the heels down to the floor, and then just do a few squats. So sending those hips and bottom back, knees staying apart, taking those arms forward, so we're just working a little bit into those shoulders as well, but we're still staying in that neutral position, so we're not rounding through our back. And with these, just do maybe 8 of these, 6 or 8, it'll be fine. Come back up, and then we're going to roll down. Now make sure your knees are soft, your chin comes down towards your chest, and let the shoulders relax and just roll your way down. And as you come down, you're going to take your hands on the outside of your hoop, lift your hoop up, so you're bringing your hoop with you, and we're going to step those feet out a little bit wider. And again, I want you to keep the knees soft, and this time we're going to twist, but we're going to take that hoop with us. And we're just working that a little bit further round this time, because obviously we're going to be doing a lot through the waist, through our back, through our abdominals, so we want to be able to move. So, couple more to each side. Come back to the centre, place your hands underneath your hoop, and just take your hands just above your shoulders. And again, knees are soft, so we're just going to lift that hoop up above our head, come back, and again lift. So lifting and lowering. So again, just working into those arms, those shoulders, that upper back. So 2 more. Hold it at the top, bring it round to the front. You're going to place your hands that little bit further down your hoop so you can lift that hoop right above your head. And then what I want you to do is think about keeping these ribs tucked in and engaging through your abdominals. And we're taking the hoop over to one side, keeping the hips in the centre, back to the top and over to the other side. 3 or 4 on each side. And then come back to the centre. And then I want you to take your hands back into the middle. Now we're going to go wide with those feet. Turn those toes out to maybe 1, 11 o'clock. And I want you to bend the legs so you're sinking down into a wide squat position. We're taking the arms out in front and we're going to turn the hoop like a big wheel. So we're keeping the rest of our body still. Those hips are staying level. Just getting, again, work through the shoulders. So we're getting that movement through the shoulders. So again, just turn your hoop each way. So let's do 1 more to each side. Come back to the centre and come back up. Now, place your hoop down. So what we can do, just to raise our heart rate a little bit, and just get nice and warm, we're going to take the hoop and we're going to spin it round. And as you let go, I want you to spin it as fast as you can, and I want you to run round it once and just see if you can grab hold of your hoop before it falls to the floor. So this is good for coordination as well, because you do need a lot of coordination when you're hooping. So do the same the other way. Again, spin it round, run round the other way, and then grab your hoop before it falls to the floor. Maybe do 2 or 3 on each side. What we could also do as well, just to make it a little bit more fun, is again give it a really good spin and then see if you can run round twice before that hoop falls to the floor. Okay, so that should warm us up nicely. So we're going to start into the main part of the workout. So when we come to hooping, ideally what we're looking for with our hoop is that it is about the right size for our body. Hoops come in all different sizes, and they can be made to measure. So usually when you buy those little plastic hoops, they're quite small, and they're too small for an adult, so it won't stay around your waist. So either lower than the belly button or belly button height. So the bigger the hoop is, the easier it is. So if you struggle with a smaller hoop, a bigger hoop will make it a lot easier, okay? So we step inside the hoop, we need to set the feet up. So ideally, your feet are either hip distance apart and your knees are soft, or you're taking 1 foot forwards and again keeping those legs soft. It doesn't really matter which foot is forwards, it's whatever feels better for you. Your hoop should be across your lower back, so it starts in contact with your back, not off your back. And it's on your lower back, and you need to make sure your hoop is straight. If your hoop is tilted down or up, when you let it go, it's not going to stay there for very long. So it needs to be straight. And you need to give it a good firm push around. Now you can start in any direction. What I usually do is try not to say to people, start one way, because you'll naturally have a direction that you go in that will be your easier direction. It doesn't matter too much if you weren't able to go in that one direction, but just remember you will get better at doing it one way and it will become harder the other way. So you can try and do it both ways. I tend to hoop left, a lot of people do, I am right-handed. So when I let go of my hoop, I'm going to give it a good push. And then I'm really trying to focus on using my stomach and my back to push the hoop around. Now my hips will move a little bit from side to side, but what you're trying not to do is circle, because that's not ideally how we're supposed to hoop. So think about your tummy pushing forwards as your hoop comes to the front, so that moves that hoop around your back, and as your back pushes into the hoop, it moves the hoop back around to the front. So basically it's moving that hoop around as you push forwards and back. Okay, our knees are still soft, we're fairly relaxed. So we're trying to keep these shoulders relaxed. Try not to let your upper body move. So sometimes people try and do this to keep the hoop moving. That's actually not going to make it any better, it's probably going to make it fall to the floor. So remember, it's this section, and if you're not too sure, think about just doing it without the hoop and moving your stomach in and out, and again thinking about keeping this part of your upper body switched off. Okay. Now if you find that you're losing your hoop and it's starting to fall, there's a few little tricks that you can do. You can go faster. So if you go faster, that tends to move your hoop back up your body. And if you do a little shimmy and squat, that usually tends to draw that hoop up. So you start to slow down and you notice it's going down. Before it gets too low, you can almost save it and pick it back up. If you tend to find that you let it go onto the thighs, you'll really struggle then to get your hoop back up, so you'll just need to pick it up. Okay. So as we're hooping, think about which way you're hooping, and then maybe have a little go at hooping the opposite way. You'll find one way is a lot easier than the other. So for me, going right is a bit harder. So maybe stick with one direction to start with until you get better at it. Keep these elbows out of the way. And then once you can keep that hoop moving, we're going to work on the feet a little bit. So we can just start by moving those feet. And if we think about which way our hoop is moving round, we can do a few turns. So you can do a couple of 10s, obviously don't make yourself too dizzy that you do too many. 10 in the same way as your hoop. If you turn the opposite way to your hoop, that is a little bit harder, but you can still do it. So a few 10s. We have a pivot 10. So if you're hooping left, you pivot on your left foot and you lift your right foot to spin you round. Same if you're going right, pivot on your right and turn right. And we've got some walk forwards, so we can try and learn to walk forwards with our hoop, walk it backwards, okay, fast or as slow as you want. We can walk forwards, we can turn the same way as our hoop, and we can take it back again, and we can do as many as we want to, just walking around. We can do a little shuffle from side to side, so we're moving from side to side, whether it be a quick shuffle or perhaps a grapevine you can do from side to side. Okay, so there's lots of things you can do. You can make a big circle, so you can actually start to walk and make your circle bigger and bigger each time. So you're walking round. So it's just like a normal walk. Try and keep your steps the same distance apart as you would do a normal walk outside. So let's do a little bit for the arms as well. So think about taking your arms out, and your arms are out level with your shoulders. We're going to do some arms up towards the ceiling. That's a little bit harder, so you've got to really make sure that you're using your core. Take your arms forwards. So we can do side, ceiling, forwards, go the other way, ceiling, out to the side, take it forwards. We can take hands across the chest, elbows wide, take one arm out, take the other arm out, bring it back in and back in. We can go faster. So really get that brain in gear. So as we're hooping, we're also moving those arms. This is a bit like tapping your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. Okay. Otherwise, when you're relaxing your arms, just make sure you're relaxing your shoulders, but you're not dropping those elbows that you're going to hit your hoop. Okay. So we also have booty hooping. So once you're getting a little bit tired, and I would probably suggest give yourself about 10 minutes waist hooping and then just break it up so that you're doing different things. So with booty hooping, that drops below your hip bones and runs across your bottom. So think about it, the hoop moving around the widest part of your bottom, but not hitting your hip bones. So make sure if you place your fingers on the front of your hip bones, that hoop isn't touching, okay? Otherwise you're just going to end up with bruises on your hips. So we're working across the bottom, and we're moving a little bit faster with the legs. We're also keeping those legs bent. Keeping the chest lifted, so if you can, we're trying to look forwards. We're trying not to look at our hoop. So we're thinking about, using that space and being able to work with our hoop without actually seeing what it's doing. So again, my upper body is staying relaxed. So booty hooping, again, you can work from your waist, slow it down, go a little bit faster into booty hooping, and if you speed it up or do your little shimmy and squat, you can bring it back up onto your waist. You can do that as many times as you want, just to break it up so it's not just on your waist. So if we stop the hoop, we might have had enough at this point just to have a little rest. So we're going to take the hoop off our body. Now ideally, you might only have one hoop, but if you've got a hand hoop, which is a lighter hoop, so it's slightly smaller and it's lighter, so you can see the difference between the two. These are smaller, and again, hand hoops can be made for different sizes, and they're used with a slightly narrower pipe. So I tend to try and use both, but obviously if you've only got one waist hoop, then you would probably just have to do all of your exercises, your tricks and things with one hoop only. So with your hand hoop, we can do hand hooping, arm hooping, and we can do lots of tricks. So we start with the hands. When we're doing it in front of the body, what we're trying to do is flatten that hand out. So our thumb is pointing up towards the ceiling and the palm is facing out to the side, and we're letting that hoop go around the palm of our hand and the back of our hand. We need to keep that thumb out, because if you keep that thumb up and out, the hoop then stays on the hand. Whereas if you took the thumb in, the hoop then starts to travel up your arm, which is fine if you come into arm hooping, but obviously we're trying to just stick with hand hooping at this moment. You can do it in front of the body, you can do it to the side of your body, and make sure you do equal amounts on each side. So when you've had a little practice on one hand, then do the other hand. So again, same thing. My hand is nice and flat, my thumb is pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, and I'm keeping my palm facing out to the side. Now again, you can go in both directions. So both hands, and try both directions. One way might be a little bit easier than the other, and also it might be easier on one hand than the other. So what we can also do is we can switch the hands. So as we're hooping around one hand, we slide the other hand in, and then we do it on that hand, and then we take it back. And if that direction is a little bit hard, we change direction, and we keep switching. We could do double hands, so we keep the palms together, thumbs up, and we've got both hands in. Okay? So, with this one, even with the lighter hoops, after a while, it just tends to hurt your hands a little bit. You can put gloves on. So again, spend maybe about 5 minutes hand hooping. Just make sure you've done equal sides. We can do it above the head, a little bit harder. So when you do it above the head, your thumbs should be pointing, well, fingers pointing up to the ceiling, thumb pointing out to the side. Arm nice and straight, so you're reaching up, so your hoop is well above your head. To do that one, you've got to be quite quick. So you've got to let go and then lift it up. And you're trying to make a halo around your head. So rather than it being here, in front of your body and high, it's actually, you're making a halo around the top of your head. Okay? And again, with this one, thumb stays out so it doesn't travel down your arm. And it's a slow action. So if you go too fast, you tend to lose control. So think about your hand just doing this action, whether it be at the top or whether it be in front of you. And again, you can do double hands, switching hands. Okay, so again, you're getting a little bit on both sides. Your arm will get tired up there, so obviously you don't want to be just on one side. You want to be able to take it onto the other hand to give that arm and shoulder a rest. And again, don't spend too long on this one. Okay, so we've got some hand hooping, we've got a bit of arm hooping. So we can start on the hand, and we'd start on the side for this one. And then we tuck that thumb in, take that arm a little bit further out, and let that hoop start to come onto the forearm. Now this is all about control. So if you keep your arm about level with your shoulder, the hoop will pretty much stay where it needs to be. If you start to drop your hand, that hoop's going to fall back down your arm. And if you go too high, it's going to start to slide all the way up towards your face. If you want to go a little bit quicker, you can get it onto the top of your arm, but then you need to keep that control so that it stays right in the middle of your arm. Now you can see that my arm is only moving slightly in circles, so I'm not going too fast, but I'm just keeping that control. Now once you've got the control, you can do what we call elbow hooping. So thinking about the space and where that space is inside that hoop, when that hoop comes around to the front, you've got lots of open space. You take your hand inside the hoop and it becomes elbow hooping. And you can take your arm in and out as fast or as slow as you want to go. So that does tend to happen a few times. Your hoop may fly off, so if you are doing it in your house, just please be careful, because hand hooping and things like that, it does tend to fly away, so preferably in the garden for these ones. So we've done our hand hooping, we've done our arm hooping. Don't forget to do both arms. We've also got tricks. So a figure eight is always a really good trick. So you start on one side of your body, your hand is underneath your hoop, and you need to keep that wrist nice and loose. So you're not gripping that hoop really tight. It just allows you to come to the other side of your body. Now these ones have to be quite quick in order to create that figure of 8. It's hard to slow it down to show you, but if you think about moving your arm like the figure of 8, okay, that's the sort of action that you're getting. So you start on one side, you're coming across to the other side, you flip it back over. Remember, loose wrist. So I pretty much can just do it on one finger if I wanted to. So that's why you're not gripping that hoop tightly, because if you grip that hoop too tightly, you end up putting a lot of pressure on your shoulder and that hoop just gets all stuck and it makes it look really awkward. So remember, really light, so that eventually you could just take a few fingers away. Do you want 2 fingers, 1 finger? And again, switching to the other hand. And you can keep switching. So you're doing it a few times on one, or keep switching it from one hand to the next. Okay, so there's your figure of 8. So we've also got round the body. So our hands start on top. So it's an overhand grip that we want because we want to keep that hoop nice and straight. And then we let go with one hand, and then as it comes around your back, you're taking it back into that other hand. Now I kind of throw mine into the other hand. So I let go with one and throw it into the other hand. And I'm keeping my hands on top of the hoop. So that way my hoop stays straight. If you keep your hoops nice and straight, you can start to add in some leg lifts. So we can lift those legs, we can alternate, we can just do one leg, a few round, change legs. So it's a good one for your abdominals. And then obviously change the direction so that you're going the opposite way as well, so you haven't just gone in one direction. So from there, we can also do some hand hooping, but also around the body. So we can start in that halo and then take it behind our back. And again, change direction. Okay, so we've got those ones. What we could do is, we've got one that's a really slow one. It takes a bit of time to do this one. So what we're trying to look for is the hoop is moving in space. So it's like a wheel and it's moving around. It takes a bit of time to get this one really sort of set up. It's quite a bit of practice. And you're trying to imagine your hand is moving around like a clock, and you're trying to keep that hoop in the same space. So it's not actually hand hooping. If it was hand hooping, your hoop would be going up, down, side to side. So you're thinking about that hoop in front of you, you've got that middle part in the centre. So as you take your hoop and move it round, you're still looking through the centre of your hoop. Again, you can do it on both hands. One side will probably be a little bit easier than the other, and it might take you a little bit of practice. It's a really good one for working your arms and your shoulders, so you'll really start to feel that building up in the shoulder muscles here, so the deltoids and tops of your arms as well. Okay, so moving back to your waist hoop, if you're feeling a little bit adventurous, we can do both. So we can take our waist hoop, set our waist hoop up, and then let that one go, get that one out the way, and then try and go in the same direction as your waist hoop. So whichever hand you want to start in, and then you hoop in, hand hoop in, above your head. And both hoops are going the same way, which will be a little bit easier than if you're trying to take that hoop the opposite way. Again, you can switch the hands. We can also add a little bit of movement, so we can start to turn. We can do a little walk forwards, take it back, side to side. We can try and think about taking that hoop in front of our body as well. So we can do a little bit of hand hooping in front. And then if we get rid of that one, waist hooping. Bring our feet together, and if you bring those feet together, again, this is a little bit more challenging, so you have to really get that waist and your tummy muscles working. Taking those feet wider, we can do a little bit more of a hip side to side action. And also you can try lifting one foot off the floor and see if you can hoop with just one leg on the floor. Keep switching it round, however many seconds you want to do on each side. So there's lots of things that you can do. So this is kind of just like a beginner's class, so that you're getting a little bit of everything. Also thinking about how you take the hoop off your body. So what we tend to try and do is think about which way our hoop is moving. So mine is moving to the left. So I use my left hand on the outside of the hoop and I just stop that hoop. And it stops it falling to the floor. So it just makes it look nicer to take it off your body. As we take it off, we're just going to do some stretches, so make sure you stretch out as well. You don't need to do too many stretches. First one we'll do is just with your hands on top of the hoop, we're just going to walk back. So we're going to take a little stretch here, press your bottom back. So what we're doing is we're getting a stretch down the arms, down the side of our back. We're also getting that little bit of stretch into our hamstrings and calf muscles. Holding for about 10 to 15 seconds here. Tuck that tailbone under, walk in. Take your hoop up and just push that hoop out in front. And just very gently flex through your spine, so you're drawing your belly button in towards your spine, chin towards your chest, arms stay out in front. And then straighten back up, take your hoop behind you. So hands a little bit lower. Press your hoop away, get a stretch across your chest and your shoulders, because we've done quite a bit of shoulder work today as well. And then bring it round to the front. What you can also then do is you can take your feet wide, a bit wider than your hoop, and bend one leg, and then take your hoop across to one side, and just take a little stretch there, so you're keeping one leg bent, one leg straight, head relaxing between your arms. Again, you're getting that stretch down one side of your body, walking back in, bend your other leg, take that hoop out to the side again, take a stretch here, come back to the centre, okay? From there, if you bring your hoop to one side, and then take a hold of one foot, so your heel comes to bottom, knees come together. Make sure you keep those knees level. This is stretching out your quads down the front of that thigh. So you're still doing quite a bit of leg work as well. And then make sure you move your hoop to the other side. And again, reach the foot, bring the heel to your bottom, knees together. Again, 10 to 15 seconds for each stretch. Release that foot. If you come back to the other side, take your outside leg across the front of your inside leg, and then what I want you to do is reach up, push that hip out and reach over. And again, we want that stretch right into the hip, and again into our waist, on the side of our back, because we've done quite a lot of work on that today. And then release, and again swap over with the legs. Take the arm, reach it up, take it over. If you can, gently press that hip out. And release. Okay? And then just take some shoulder rolls. Let those shoulders relax. Take a nice deep breath in. And take a breath out. Well done. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that session. I will be doing some more sessions, some more advanced sessions. I'm going to put together some more dancey hoop workouts. So if you're quite used to hooping, then you might want some more sort of advanced hoop sessions in the future. So just let me know. Thank you.